It's important to know where the options live in CoWriter because there's a lot of different features that can be turned on or off. If I go to my CoWriter in the top right-hand corner and I hover over it, it says CoWriter. I could click down and I could go down to options, which is the flower or the gear. On the left side of the menu, you'll see the topic dictionaries that I've searched previously. This does not need any editing as it does live within your toolbar on the screen when you're typing. It is nice to have here if you want to just quickly toggle off any topics previously used. Below here, it has the prediction language as English. This is saying that it's predicting all words in English on the toolbar. I have seen few people turn this to another language if they're writing in their home language. That would be a good option if you have a secondary language you speak with. Otherwise, I suggest leaving this in English. Next, it has predict. If I click here, it gives all words, core words, or no words. All words is going to be predicting ahead on your toolbar all words that might come next in the sentence. Core words are going to be the top 100 core words that appear when students are learning new vocabulary. I do warn you, if you click core words, it's not going to give such a broad option. For example, it does not have the words dog or cat under core words. So I caution using core words because it might take away some vocabulary that our students like to use. You could also change it to no words. If you click no words and go back to your document, you will see on your toolbar, it is not predicting any words on my toolbar anymore. This might be a preference if all you want to use is, for example, the readback feature, or if you're just going to use it for speech to text. Otherwise, I suggest leaving this on all words. The next toggle says predict from page. CoWriter learns you as a writer as you continue writing. If I write the word dinosaur in a sentence and then I continue writing some more and I want to write the word dinosaur again, CoWriter will eventually go, oh, she's writing the word dinosaur, and it'll start predicting that word for me. This is a good thing to have toggled on so it knows you as a learner. I suggest leaving predict from page on. Predict ahead is what I showed earlier in another video. Predict ahead is simply pulling up words in a sentence that might come next in that sentence. So it's giving you the sentence starter at the start of a sentence that would be appropriate to start the sentence with. Then the next word would be a word that commonly follows that first word, and so forth. Predict ahead is simply CoWriter trying to help guess what word might come next. Next is flexible spelling. This is good to have toggled on for our students that are not quite at par with their spelling. So this allows for those flexible spelling. It'll kind of guess exactly where you're going with it. I suggest leaving this on. Below is translate writing into. So this I showed earlier in the translation video. I could click down and there's over 30 different languages that could be chosen to translate into English. So this is where I might click on one and then it'll be able to, if I say my sentence in that language, it'll translate it into English for me. Or if I type the word in another language, it'll translate it into English for me on the toolbar. That's where that feature lives, here in translating writing into English. As needed. This is a cool little tool. As needed, I usually leave it off, but some students really like it. If I turn on as needed and I go back to my document, you're going to see CoWriter became a little thought bubble on my screen. I could click on it and my toolbar appears, and I could click and it disappears. This allows CoWriter to be there in the background when I need it, and I can turn it off when I don't. It's really useful when toggling between numbers and letters as well. I don't have to go over here to click 1, 2, 3. I could just toggle off and I could type 1, 2, 3 if that's what I want to do. So it's just a nice little hidden feature button there. Another option within As Needed is As Needed Speech to Text. If I turn that on, I have a little microphone here, and I could just click it when I want to use speech to text, and then it'll start grabbing anything I say with speech to text. And I could click again.
You want to use speech to text, and then it'll start grabbing anything I say with speech to text.
And then I click again, and it turns it off. So it's just a nice little workaround to get to the tool that I want quickly. I suggest having that off because personally, I like seeing my toolbar on the screen. On the right side of the screen are a number of guesses. This is your toolbar. How many words are being guessed on your toolbar? You could choose between 1 to 9 different words. Now, if I click 9, it's going to look a little different. Now you can see my toolbar has 9 different words being predicted. It's up to the user to decide whether they would like plentiful words or just a few words being guessed for them at a time. I like the medium of 5, especially if I'm using a Chromebook, because if I click 9, the screen on the Chromebook's kind of small and I cannot see all 9 words, so it cuts them off. 5 is usually pretty good, and you could see them nicely on the screen. Here, I could also select my font. I personally like Open Dyslexic, but I could click anything on here and it's giving me a nice little example over to the left. I could see what each of them looks like, so I could decide what my preference may be. I, again, like Open Dyslexic, so I'm going to go ahead and choose that one. Font size. This is going to change the size of your toolbar. So I could increase it, or I could decrease it if I don't need it very obvious on my screen. I like to leave mine somewhere in the middle, but it's really up to the user to decide what's comfortable for them. I could choose my text color here. I could choose any color I want, and I could go in here and change the background color as well. Or I could also go here and I could click into templates, and I could choose from a high contrast template that has already been made previously by Dawn Johnston for me. I'm going to go ahead and keep mine on black and on blue. Prediction voice. Here I could change the voice that reads back to me. I could choose any of the voices that are preloaded on my device. I might have different voices on my device than you do because I am using a Mac. Every device has voices attached to them that are specific to that device. So they may be called different things, or they may have more or less. It just depends on what device you're using. Here, I could turn on speak letters if I want to. Now, if I turn this on, I will show you what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and go to the bottom of my screen, and every time I type a letter, it's going to tell me that letter.
Capital A, D, O, G.
Some people might like that audio feedback, especially if they're emerging readers or writers. I personally think it's a little overwhelming. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. Speak words is it giving me the word after I have typed each letter. So if I do the same thing, I could say
Capital A, dog.
That time it did not speak each letter to me, but it did give me the full word. I like leaving that on, just to assure that I am hearing exactly which word I wanted it to say. The next one is speak sentences. Speak sentences is going to read back the entire sentence once I've put a period in the sentence. So if I go over here, for example, and I add a period,
it has improved my spelling and sentence structure.
it's going to read back the whole sentence because I have put punctuation in. That is what speak sentences will do. I'm going to leave that on as well. Next is speak after speech to text. So once I have used speech to text, it'll just reread what I said to double check that it's what I wanted it to say. I'm going to leave that on for now. Of course, these are all preferences, and the user is the one setting what works for them. Down here is the playback speed, volume, and pitch. Volume I leave at 100% because my device allows me to increase or decrease the volume within it, so I don't need to come into the settings for that. The speed, if I want the voice to speed up.
Welcome to the co-writer extension. You can change the pitch, rate, and volume of speech using the sliders below.
That may be a little fast for me. Maybe I need to take it down a little bit.
Welcome to the co-writer extension. You can change the pitch, rate, and volume of speech using the sliders below.
You can move the pitch if you have issues of deaf and hard of hearing. This would be a great way to see if the pitch will influence how you can hear what is being said. Also, if you're a younger student and you want the voice to sound more like you might want to increase the pitch. Otherwise, I tend to leave mine in the middle. I don't have any of those needs. Down here, these are the highlight colors of when it is reading back to you. So I could take my text color and maybe I want to make that green, and I could change my background color and possibly I want that to be, I don't know, gray. So when I go in here and I have it read
4.
something back to me, I'm going to add punctuation so it reads it back.
It has improved my spelling and sentence structure.
You could see it's gray and green now. These are the options within CoWriter.